It's not Nikki's, right? I know.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Central Intermediate Unit 10's online instruction series. This session is an introduction to Zoom meetings. I'm Mike Baker. Diane and Renee are also joining us today, and I think I saw Christine Sanker and Ryan Gill as well. I have them muted right now, but Ryan's just saying hello there in the chat. But the IU people will be helping me monitor the chat as I kind of run through this presentation. So for now, the microphones are all muted with the exception of Diane and Renee. So if they see questions from the chat, they will moderate and draw those to my attention. At the end, for about 15 minutes, we will turn all the microphones on so you can ask questions. A recorded version of this workshop will be available immediately after today's workshop, I think, by the end of the afternoon. And you will be able to access that on the same website you used to join us here this afternoon. Finally, please keep in mind that this session does have a hard stop time. So we must be finished just before 2:15 to start the next session, which is on Google Hangout Meet. If you are planning to attend that session, it is a separate Zoom link. You'll have to return to the website and click on that. That is for attendance purposes. We are sending attendance to all of the districts in IU10. So it's really important that you head over to the participant window. And if you're using some kind of a pseudonym, a stage name, or your first initial and last name, if you hover over your name and click more, you can rename yourself. It also might be a good idea to add your district's name or initials after your name, and then we know exactly where you are. If there are any questions that I don't answer during today's session, please email me. And my email address is mbaker@ciu10.org. The chat window, there are two ways to chat. You can send messages to everyone. So at the bottom, if it says to everyone, everyone will see that message. If you'd like to talk to your coworkers or friends, you can click there and choose the person's name from the list, and it'll send a private message just to them. You'll notice that if you send a private message, it will say privately, you are the only two who can see that. So if you need to let us see it, make sure that you are sending it to everyone. Yes, Phil, you cannot unmute yourself now because I muted you. That is correct. I've muted your voice, but not your amazing aura around your personality and yourself there, which is brought on by that hat. Okay. Somebody didn't want to do his hair this morning. You probably use product, don't you? Yeah, he's a guy that uses product, I bet.
Someone also forgot to shave.
Yeah. Yep. Sorry about that, everybody. I'm just growing this out during this shutdown. We'll see. I might look like a fourth member of ZZ Top by the time this is over. All right, so let's start. That's enough silliness. So we discovered this morning that Zoom will not actually allow me to show you its interface inside of a Zoom meeting. In other words, you can't see all of the windows and buttons that I see. So I figured it out this morning by just taking screenshots of everything, but I certainly missed some things. So you're lucky to be here this afternoon because I took my lunchtime and beyond to take all the screenshots and put them in here. So I'm actually going to run quite a bit of this as a slideshow, but it's the only way to show you all of the Zoom interface features. So it will be a lot of slides, and I apologize for that, but certainly ask questions in chat. We'll make this as interactive as we can, and then we have that open question and answer. So everything's taken care of here as far as muting, and Diane and Renee again are watching for questions, and they can interrupt me, and I will get that recorded version. It will probably be this afternoon, but maybe tomorrow morning. So there are two ways to start a Zoom meeting. And once you have signed in, you will get a dashboard looking thing, which you see on my slide here. And the quickest way to start a meeting is simply by clicking on that orange button that says New Meeting. And what will happen when you do that is Zoom will start up right away. And you will get a little picture of yourself. Mine's my lovely avatar there. And no one's going to be there. So you have to invite people to get them to join your Zoom meeting. So luckily, they've done something really cool here. They have a balloon that calls out that says, click to invite participants. So here's a nice zoomed in look at that. And you simply click there, and you're going to have basically 3 different ways that you can invite people to this meeting. The first is to send them an email. So you'll see there your default email. That's whatever email client you use on your computer. So if you've set up Outlook, for example, and you click that, it's going to open Outlook and paste in the invitation, and you can send it to the people you'd like to invite. Gmail is going to open up a new tab in your browser, and you can just address the message to those that you would like to invite, and they will get an email. And then finally, Yahoo Mail. I don't know how many people are still using Yahoo Mail, but there it is. At least they didn't include AOL, which is what my mom is still using. I probably just offended some people. Along the bottom of the screen, you will have the option to copy the URL. So what that is for is if for some reason you wanted to just quickly paste it into your learning management system, so if you're using Google Classroom or Schoology or whatever you might use, you can paste that up there. Now, of course, you'd have to have your students looking for that because they would need to be in there to see that show up. You can also use anything else like Remind or Class Dojo, or maybe smaller classes. You may even have a parent text chain or something like that that you use. So you can certainly do that. Anywhere you can put a URL, basically any tool. If you want to put it on Facebook, for example, you could do that. The last option is to copy the invitation. So the difference between that and the URL is by copying the invitation, you will get the full text of the message. So for example, mine would say, Mike Baker is inviting you to a Zoom room, and it will provide the details. So it goes beyond the link. It will have a start time. It will have my name and things like that. The URL is simply just a quick link. You send it out during using some other medium, and they get it. Okay, so those are basically the 3 ways. There are some other options up here. They're a little weird, but I'll just briefly mention. The contacts, that is a list of people that you have in your Zoom contacts. It does not access your Google or Outlook contacts, unfortunately. Zoom rooms are other rooms that may be open with people in them already, and you can invite people that are in those rooms. And the room system, I don't think anybody is using that, but that's when you can set up rooms as Zoom rooms in advance, and then you can grab people from those rooms.
Now, Mike, I think it bears mentioning there with the Zoom rooms, but folks can't be in more than one Zoom room at a time.
Yes, that is correct. So Zoom, you can only be in one place at one time. You can use multiple accounts. So earlier today, I was testing this with my personal Google account signed in, and I was presenting to myself. And it will work if you have multiple accounts, but you definitely can't host, and you really have to kind of rig it to make yourself appear in 2 places at once. Okay, but yeah, for the most part, it's just you, and you cannot, you can't host multiple meetings or attend multiple meetings. The second, and I think better option, unless you're working just in a really small group. So we're all here because we're thinking, is this a platform that we're going to be able to use to deliver instruction and basically meet in a virtual manner with our students? Those are more than likely going to be scheduled in advance. It's not like you're just going to wake up and say, oh, it's 9:47, let me invite my students in. That just won't work. So the scheduling method is definitely the way to go. And let me walk you through this again. I can't show you live, but I did take some screenshots, and I'll point to things here on my screen. So the simplest part of this is right at the top here. Really, this is all you need to do. These other settings may be okay, but I'll review them with you in a moment. But you give your meeting a name, pick a date, a start time, and an end time. There is an option for a recurring meeting, but I want to warn you about that. It uses whatever calendar you use. So Zoom itself will not set up recurring meetings. So if you said, I want to meet every Tuesday at 2 o'clock, it's going to tell you to go to your calendar, use your calendar's recurrence feature, And so the link in essence will be the same for each of those classes. It's just going to copy it to different dates on your calendar. That means if you invite people through your Google Calendar, for example, they will be invited to all those events once you turn on the recurrences, excuse me. The other stuff's a little more advanced. The meeting ID, we all will have, when you have a Zoom account, you have a personal meeting ID. That does not change. So that's a static ID. Think of it almost like a phone number. The problem with that one is a lot of people will use that in their signature and their email. So anybody that has that personal ID number can jump into your meeting. So for the most part, I think the best practice here is to just let it generate its own unique meeting ID for whatever you're scheduling. You can turn on passwords if you're worried that people would share this, or you want to make sure it's secure. If you put a check mark there under password, it will ask you to provide a password, and you'll have to send the password to people. You can also select whether or not you and your participants can use the video when it starts, and also what kind of audio settings. Telephone, so you know what that is. If you have telephone and computer audio on, it will provide the people you invite with a phone number. They can call that phone number and then enter the meeting ID through their phone, and then they will join via phone. So every once in a while, and I don't see anybody today in our participants window, but the people that call in using a phone in the participants window, you would see a little handset or cell phone icon next to that person. And that's to indicate that they have called in. Remember, those who call in cannot see what you're doing, and they cannot participate in chat. Finally, at the very bottom here, your calendar options. I have mine set to Google. It will remember this when you first choose one. As soon as I click schedule, my Google Calendar will pop up. It will add this meeting to my calendar, and then I can type in those people I want to invite if I want them to come to the meeting via an invite. There are some advanced options. Those are things that I will show you on Monday if you attend the advanced session. Once you've scheduled the meeting, in your dashboard, you'll have a meeting tab, and this will show you all of the upcoming meetings. You can see that each one has a unique meeting ID number. You can also edit these from here. So by clicking on one of these and choosing edit, I can change the start time. I can change the end time, the settings. One thing to keep in mind, if you do that, it will change it will create a new calendar event. So if I edit the settings and when I save it, it's going to create an additional calendar event in my Google Calendar. So you want to watch and make sure that you have the most recent. Should not change the meeting ID. That should stay the same. And it will not remember your original invitees, so they will not get an automatic notification. You'd have to notify them of that change. So just something to think of. If you edit after the fact, you may need to re-invite the people that you had previously invited. Link will still work. They just wouldn't see the updated time on their calendar. So hopefully that makes sense to everyone. You can also, after the fact, I showed you the email screen. You can also click here to show the meeting invitation. And if you do that, the text of that invitation will come up. You can then copy it, or you can just click here where it says copy invitation and paste that into your email client and send it to those that you would like to invite. So you can always come here to invite people as well. So all of your upcoming events will be shown here, including ones that others invited you to that you accepted. So this is the part I really wish you could see. And unfortunately, with the limitations of Zoom, I can't show you this. So I had to take a screenshot. And that means none of these buttons are going to be interactive for us. So I'll just have to point at them and basically tell you what you would be able to do there. This is being recorded, by the way. We already mentioned that. So you'll be able to watch through this at your own pace. So if I'm moving too fast through these buttons, don't fret. Zoom also has a lot of great help documents online that you can go in, and they actually have videos that will walk you through this, because apparently they can record it. I can't. So the first button is the microphone, and that is how you quickly mute. So I'm going to mute myself for just one moment here. So you see in the participant window, my microphone will turn red and it'll have a slash through it. So that is one way to quickly toggle your audio. Usually the space bar will do that too. So if you need to quickly mute yourself, you can hit the space bar. This is where I really wish I could show you. This downward pointing arrow allows you to access the settings for your microphone. Now, where it gets confusing is, believe it or not, a lot of us have multiple microphones and we don't even realize it. So your laptop has a built-in microphone. If you're using an external webcam, it may also have a microphone. If you use a headset, right now I'm using a pair of Apple iPhone headphones, that is a microphone as well. So it's possible you could have 3, even 4 microphones connected to your computer. You may not even think about it because you just think, oh, headphones, they just work. But it sees the microphone as a separate device. If you're in a meeting and someone says, I can't hear you, it is more than likely that you have the wrong microphone selected. So by clicking on here, you would see all of the microphones connected to your system. And as I said, right now I have 3 of them connected to mine. So I have to make sure that I chose the headphones that I'm using. Bluetooth, if you use wireless headphones, yes, they will work. But again, you'll have to make sure that you choose the wireless headphone if it has a microphone from this menu. Video works exactly the same way. I'll turn my video off momentarily, just clicking on the camera icon. In the example on my screen, I already had the camera off, but you can see now that my avatar has returned. If you're looking at the Brady Bunch, looks like on my screen, I'm next to Phil. And now I'll turn this back on. And there I am live again. This arrow does the same thing as what the microphone arrow does. So you won't be able to see me do this. Watch, I'm going to switch to the webcam that's on my laptop. I'm using an external camera now. Let me switch to the laptop. And now there's a different camera angle. So that's my MacBook's camera, which actually is a little better quality, which means that nobody wants to see that. So let me switch back to the low quality. Right. So you can quickly toggle among the different cameras. There are also some other things here that are kind of fun. You know,
Our last group, Mike, before we even began, someone thought the share meant so he could see all the pictures of everybody. So you want to talk about the sharing of the screen, because he was sharing his screen?
Sure. I mean, let me go through the buttons in order, and then I'll get to that in just a couple clicks here. So the next button that we come to is Manage Participants, and I think I have a slide for this. Let's see. Yes, I do. Mm-hmm. So the participants window, and now, by the way, I'm in San Francisco now, which I probably shouldn't be there, and I'm not allowed to be outside if I'm in San Francisco. But you can see I have a virtual background now. That's just for fun. So the participant window, what we see here is the host is always going to be at the top. What do these icons mean? The green means that you're sharing the screen, which is something Diane just mentioned. My microphone was on when I took the screenshot. My camera was not. I also have a little red dot next to mine. You should see that, everyone. And that little red dot means that I am recording. You can hover over people's names and you can selectively mute them and you can unmute them. So right now, against my better judgment, I will unmute Phil for a moment. At least I'm going to try. Well, it's not letting me unmute Phil. Maybe Phil is not letting me unmute him. Oh, there he is. Oh, he was there for a second. Phil.
Hi, guys.
Hey, how are you?
The grass is wet.
It is. It's very dewy. I like that. So I'm going to individually mute Phil again. And you can mute at the very bottom of this participant screen. There is a mute all button. That is really, we're both in San Francisco. Hi, Phil. You can mute everybody at once. That was really important this morning because at one point we had 130 some people in one of the rooms and they were all talking when I arrived. So I hit that button because it just was a cacophony of just bizarre sounds. So we turned that off. You can also, I could quickly unmute everybody. I can't show you what's hiding under that more button, but just so you know, you can set it up so everyone is automatically muted. That's how I have this room set. So once you showed up, it should have muted you. I also have turned off your ability to unmute yourself. So if I turn that on right now, which I'm not going to do, you could select your icon and unmute yourself. Okay, so that's how we control our participants. You will always see the number of participants at the top. Right now we have 33. This morning we had 125 when I took this screenshot. Okay. So the other window that all of you have been using, it looks like we have quite a few messages in chat. Unfortunately, when I took this, I was in a room by myself and nobody wanted to talk to me. So it's blank here in this example, but everybody's kind of used to text messaging and chat. So you'll see the person's name and the time they sent it. And again, that private message right here, this is set to everyone. But had there been some participants here, I could click here and send just a message to one person. This ellipses button here, if you click on that, you can save the chat. So if you're meeting with students and they're asking all kinds of great questions that you want to return to at some point, you can save that chat and you can review it and you can go back through your notes. And that's what we've been doing for these sessions. So I'm going to head back now a few slides to go back to the toolbar to finish this up. So these are our meeting controls. Polling is a relatively new feature. You may or may not see that. It just depends on the kind of account you have, but you could ask poll questions. This is the one Diane mentioned, and this is probably one of the more confusing features, is what is called the share button. And that's what allows you to share your screen. So right now I'm sharing my main monitor, my external monitor. I'm going to show you what happens when I change the view here. I'm going to share the screen from my laptop. So now I think you should be seeing that Brady Bunch looking thing with a few of us who have our cameras on. So let me change back. And now I think you should be seeing that control strip again, I hope.
Yes.
Okay. So when you click on the share button, a window pops up and it will ask you what specifically you want to share. So you can pick, if you have 2 monitors or 3 monitors, you can choose those monitors. You can choose just a browser. You can choose just an app. So if you have PowerPoint open and you have notes in Word, let's say, most people are using Google Classroom and Docs, but let's just say, so you can click PowerPoint and say, I'm sharing my PowerPoint screen so they see your presentation, but you can still have Word open, change the page, scroll through it. No one's going to see that on the other end. They only see what you're sharing. You are also able to share mobile devices. So let's just say you're a computer science teacher, you're doing an app development class, and you need to be able to show a tablet screen so they can see what the app would look like. You can certainly share that as well in Zoom, which is really, really slick. There's a pause button. So if at any time you want to pause the share, I'll just hit that for a second so you see what happens. And right now my screen sharing is paused. Do you still see that slide? You do, but you can't see me doing anything. So this is like freezing your projector in essence. So I could advance some slides there and then unpause it and it would come back. I'm not showing you this today because this is just our introduction and we actually just have a few moments left. But there is an annotation tool and you also have the ability, if it's enabled, to control other people's devices. So if you had a struggling student, I don't know where to click, I can't find it, and you try to talk them through it, you can hit remote control and you can actually help that person navigate whatever it is they are trying to do. So that's a really nice, slick kind of power tool that we can look at a little bit more during our Monday sessions. What's hiding under the More menu? Well, that's things like turning on the recording, doing things like breakout rooms. Again, these are all advanced things that I will be doing on Monday. So if today was a bit of review and you're thinking, oh, show me the good stuff, the things you can really use with your classes, that's what we're going to see on Monday. So at this point, I've covered everything that I wanted to in the structured part of this. And given that I cannot show you the Zoom interface, I may not be able to demonstrate some of those questions by answering your questions that way. But let me unmute everybody so you do have the option now. Oh, everybody is there. So I'm going to mute.
So Mike, I was just going to say, so Mike, other than being in total control, why do we mute folks with any group of above 3 or 4 people?
Well, because a lot of times we forget to mute our microphones. So what will happen is we'll get 50 people in all with their microphones on. So right now I turned almost everyone's microphones are on. Some people have muted already. But it just causes a lot of chatter. It makes it very confusing. So we want to control this. This is like any classroom routine you have when you ask your students to get quiet. You can just hit mute all and it will mute them. So that's the power of that. It's just a management tool. Other questions?
Ed asked about the Act 48. Ed, Zoom has a wonderful feature where we take attendance. So the numbers will be reported, like the folks attending, like it's very large groups this morning, they will all be reported and we'll take care of that back to your school districts.
Cool.
There's a question about
Jan, what's your cool background?
How to do the cool backgrounds. So those, you have to have a high definition camera to do it. You do not need a chroma key. You do not need a green wall. So now I'm at the beach. This one actually moves, so the waves are rolling in. You do that by clicking You do that by clicking the arrow next to the video camera icon and choosing a virtual background. But again, you have to make sure your camera is capable of high def.
Deb from PO has a great question.
Call Pete and Debbie later today, ... hoping they aren't sick.
Okay, somebody is using Siri or something to text, so you may want to mute your microphone because we're hearing your to-dos.
The prior video, there was a discussion about cost for Zoom. Our district's considering this in their budget, and that is a great question because Zoom has made this free and extended a lot of the limitations during this crisis. But Zoom is not free typically. And the next thing that Mike will be taking into in the next session, the Google Hangouts, is free. So we kind of looked at both. So it is free for educators now, and it does have a cost typically. Although there's a free version of Zoom always, but it's very limited in nature. I believe it's not even an hour, Mike. It's 45 minutes.
Yeah,
it's only have so many folks in the room.
So right now, pretty much all the tech companies are helping teachers by offering products that normally are pay for free or unlocking a lot of the paid features. I would assume that hopefully when this all clears up and we head back, they will, I would imagine, very quickly ramp down those free features. So yes, PO does not use the Google platform for student accounts or teacher accounts. There are 2 districts in IU12 that do not. PO is one, the other is Clearfield. They are both Microsoft districts. So they would use Teams instead of Google Classroom, and probably Skype would be the video conferencing that's included. That being said, most people do have Google accounts, so you can sign into Zoom with a private Google account if you don't have a school account. But yes, the Microsoft districts, they're not going to support through the IT department the Google platform. They will more than likely say use Microsoft, would be my guess. Other questions? Let me check the chat and make sure we didn't miss anything here.
I don't think we missed anything, Mike. Michelle, thank you. She posted the whole long legalese about what I had said, that you're inviting the rooms, but about FERPA and the
Yes.
privacy issues.
Absolutely, thank you. All right, I think we covered everything here. So our plan is, for those of you who are interested in Hangout Meets, that's coming up at 2:15. I will stay here in this room for about another 5 minutes, just in case anybody thinks of any questions. But if you're planning to switch over to that, remember you do need to go back and visit our webpage, the one you joined this meeting from, and click on that 2:15 Google Hangouts if you want to check that out. It is a much more streamlined product. And by that, I mean it's very simple and rudimentary, whereas Zoom is very robust. So if you're looking at Zoom and thinking, oh boy, this seems a lot, and you're a Google school and you want to just kind of get started in a very quick way with video conferencing, definitely you want to pop in there and check out the Google Hangout Meets. So I'll stay here. We are done with the content that was prepared. I'll wait until about 5 after. The advanced meetings on Monday, I believe, are in the 10:30 window is the first one, and then the 1:30 as this one started will be the Google. And then
Yes, so we're
Diane and
keeping the
Renee,
same time, folks.
yes,
Different
Diane and
sessions.
Renee then have the second and fourth sessions on Monday.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. So school board meetings, I'm actually on a school board. So we had our solicitor talk to us about the legality of doing meetings by phone or Zoom. The district I'm on the board for has a policy that if the person was not physically present at the meeting, they did not count towards the quorum. So with 9 board members, if 7 called in because of coronavirus, they would not have a quorum. They wouldn't have the requisite 5 people physically present. So what we did to enable that was there was a motion brought forward to suspend the board policy that said everyone had to be there. And then we voted unanimously on that. So now they can use the phone. So it's
Mike, that's what PO is. In other words, RIU board meeting, that caveat was suspended.
Yes,
Because our IU meeting even will be by way of Zoom.
yeah, most school boards will more than likely have a policy that says everyone has to be there. Yes, you will not be able to get in the other one until I come in.
I was just anxious.
Yeah, I'll pop in there in a couple minutes. The reason it's set that way, Ed, so you know, is that I changed the setting because what happens is people go to the website and they click on those buttons at all hours of the night. I was getting email last night at like 1 a.m. that somebody just was exploring and clicked the button. And so I set it now that people can't come in the room till I'm in there, because otherwise I get those emails. That's
Mike,
why.
there was one other, Michael asked, sorry, does
Yes,
Google Hangouts have a video option?
Yes, Hangout will do video and screen sharing. Right? And you can even choose among various cameras and devices. So yes, but it's a much simpler product, just a few buttons and really easy to use. So we can certainly, Deborah's asking about the, Microsoft and that platform. I've done some Microsoft work in Clearfield. So I do have some knowledge. I'm not Microsoft certified. I'm Google certified trainer, but Absolutely, if it's something going forward that PO is interested in, have someone reach out to me, and we can certainly come up with a plan to get that going. All right, in about 30
Okay.
seconds, I'm heading over to the other meeting. I'm going to save the chat right now, Diane, so you know.
Okay,
I've
we
already
recorded and now we're saving.
Yes, I've already downloaded the 2 rosters from earlier today.